Hey, okay,
That was
Whoa!
cool, man.
that's a temporary
Wow.
folder. Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to the Sidekick Show. We have a very special show for you guys tonight. We are talking something completely out of my wheelhouse, but we're gonna make it work anyways. We're talking Moneyball, starring Brad Pitt. We have got my co-host here, aka the Iceman, fresh,
Oh, what's up? What's up?
looking good. It looks good. I'm really jealous. I'm so jealous of white guys' head shape. Like Asians, no, bear with me here. Any Asians in the chat will know that Asians have kind of like different shaped heads. So
Yes.
you have to cut your hair a certain way. But white guys can get just kind of like shave this here, leave this long, pop this off, and it just looks good. So I'm very jealous,
Well,
Rob. So
let me just say that I think most people, if you are born via C-section, you generally have a very well-shaped head. However, if you happen to go through the Play-Doh fun factory of life and get squeezed out, then yes, your head could be misshapen. And then if you're left to lie in your crib as a baby for hours on end, that's where the flat back head happens. So I don't know, a lot of my Asian friends with whom I've seen the back of their head when we've been partying, which sounds a lot dirtier than I meant it to, but they all
happening there.
they all have flat black back of the head, and I've always wondered, and I always said, "Well, did your parents not love you?" And they just left us. So there we go. At any rate, hey, John.
It's a thing. You trust me. When you start looking at celebs and their nice cuts, you get pretty jealous. I also have my brother here, who is going to be my sports expert today, because Stu's in the chat here to offer support as well. I think he's going to have to maybe answer some of these baseball questions I have. But yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. I see everybody in the chat. Thank you so much, people, for joining us. Rob. I guess I'll kick off first. I just wanted to mention the most important book coming out this week. There's a bunch of stuff coming out. New X-Men #1, a new image project called like X or something like that. It's going to feature like some Walking Dead mashup with the future or something like that. So that's going to be pretty hot. But I wanted to mention that the Fortnite #6 is finally coming out. I've got a picture of the website up here. If you haven't been to our new website, it's up and functioning. And we do take pre-orders for certain things and certain books. So I do have the Fortnite on here. It is going to have 3 different covers. And every issue comes with a digital code for you to redeem in Fortnite. And this is the final issue, Rob. So do you think you're going to get that Batman armor as soon as you redeem this code?
I better. Let me tell you, because this is the controversy is that you're supposed to have all 6 issues. You get whatever is in the 6th issue, whatever code it unlocks, and then once you have all 6, then you get the Batman armor. But then in week 2, they sold it. You could say, hey, if anybody wants it, you could just purchase the Batman armor. And you're like, what the hell? That's supposed to be special.
I think it's different. I think they're all different. Like I did a
all right.
Yeah. So we're gonna see how that goes. But that was all I had for new releases. Keep an eye on the website. If you're on the Facebook, the Instagram, you'll see all the new stuff pop up there as well. So we'll kick it to Rob for the news, and then we'll get to Moneyball right after that.
Hey, thanks, John. So listen, actually, we're gonna start off with some pretty sad news. And nobody likes to start off things with sad news, but today, just a few hours ago, it was announced that Richard Donner, the director of movies such as Superman, the movie, Goonies, the Lethal Weapon franchise, Lady Hawk, which I think was Stu's personal favorite movie from 1985. He passed away at the age of 91. And 91 is a good run. I'll be honest with you. This is a guy we don't know when it was just announced today, but we actually don't know the details surrounding his passing or when he had passed. But he was also instrumental in a lot of comic book stuff with Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns did an internship with Richard Donner, was like his assistant, and they actually wrote some Superman stories together. So it's definitely a passing for me. It's a big thing that, Richard Donner was the first director that I can remember that I knew who his name was, because I grew up watching that Superman movie. So, if you're online tonight, you're going to see a lot of people, a lot of tributes pouring in for a guy who really did make us all believe a man could fly. And to that end, I think next week's Sidekick Show, we are going to rewatch and review and talk about the Superman, the movie. It's currently on Crave if you have access to that, or I'm sure if you're watching this, the likelihood is you probably have the movie in DVD or VHS copy somewhere. I've got mine over there. But so we're going to be watching that. We're going to be talking about that movie because it is that movie, the Superman, the movie from 1978, that really is the linchpin of every superhero comic book movie that has come since, including all of the Marvel MCU. So definitely join us next week as we talk about that. But 91 years old, Richard Donner, a big loss in the entertainment world. We're going to shift gear to some happy news, John. Well, maybe not happy for you. Maybe some of the ladies might like this. There's some casting. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're putting up some photos of Richard Donner. I'm really glad that we...
You didn't tell me when to put these up. I thought you were gonna like shout out these
I thought
pictures.
you were gonna put them when you were talking about it.
Yeah. I didn't want to like just pop up a picture on his face, but you know, whatever. There's Richard Donner. He is on the left, I believe.
Yes. The guy wearing the cape is definitely not the director, but that would be Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder.
Imagine on set he just wore the costume. Really the method of him.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Yeah, it would have been cool if he was wearing a cape as well, director's cape. I think all three people in this photo are now passed away, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So
and I know, like Sarah just said, 91 is not sad. You're right. Obviously 91 is a good run, but it is a loss when you consider how many movies you ended up Scrooged being one of them, like a Christmas movie. How many movies you grew up watching that were his, whether he directed or produced them. It is pretty staggering, right? It is a moment of if you grew up in the 80s, that's a staple of a lot of those movies of your childhood. So yeah, we're gonna do that next week. So hope you guys are cool with that. But yeah, moving on to some casting news. Green Lantern series, as you know, John, is coming to HBO Max, a Green Lantern television show. Tobias Menzies is in talk to portray Sinestro. Now, if that name doesn't sound overly familiar, his face ought to, which of course I didn't send you a picture of him, but he played Edmund Tully in Game of Thrones. He's currently starring in The Crown as Prince Philip. And he was also best known for his role in Outlander. So a lot of maybe our female viewers or listeners would know who I'm referring to, because that show seems to really attract a lot of the female demographic. So he's in talks to play Green Lantern. So Sinestro, sorry. So we'll see. He
was Brutus in Rome, that HBO show I really liked.
Oh yeah,
I only ever saw the first season, and I was like, whatever. So this time last year, John, if you remember, it was in July. You, myself, Stu, and Andre, we reviewed The Old Guard on Netflix. Can you believe it's been a year already? That's crazy. That movie, as you know, is based on the Image comic from Greg Rucka and starring Charlize Theron. Well, listen, we know that she was currently doing press for Fast and Furious 904. But she confirmed that she is back for a sequel. The script is done, and they start filming in the first quarter of 2022. So, are you excited for this, John? Chris?
Yeah, I like the first one. I don't know how my brother felt about it. I know he's a little bit more critical of movies. I'm a little bit more easier on them, but I did quite enjoy that first one. So I am looking forward to a follow up. So, Chris, you down with Old Guard?
It was pretty standard, like plot wise, things like that. It wasn't anything great, but a sequel sounds good to me.
Yeah. So I mean, filming in 2022, who knows? Maybe we get it into late. It could be late 2022 or probably summer of 2023. So in the next year and a half or so, we should be getting a sequel to The Old Guard. But you know what? It actually makes me think I might actually go back and rewatch that movie. I know that I kind of gave it a so-so review when we did that last year. And if you want to go back, check out our YouTube stream. You can, on the Heroes World podcast, you can check that out. But I might actually go back and check that one out. So now, John, I know, and you know as well as I do, that toys and action figures can bring a lot of joy to people. You're a big toy fan. Oh, he's pulling out some toys right now. There.
No, I'm not. I don't have a merman sitting within arm's reach of me.
Now, let me tell you, they can also bring
Skeletor.
Or a Skeletor. Is it a Mark Hamill Skeletor?
Mark Hamill, if you really want to piss people off.
But you know what? Toys can also do, John, is they can actually bring a bit of a massive headache to studio executives when toy packaging leaks that show off a bunch of spoiler images for a movie that we have yet to come out. And that was the case last week when a number of images appeared online for toys tied to the next Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. Got some.
Okay, so avert your eyes if you want to remain spoiler-free.
Spoiler alert.
Even though who knows when this movie's coming out. Oh, not that. Sorry. There you go.
Okay. So we've got
we got the
some Lego
opening.
sets.
We got that opening, but everything else is just falling apart.
So there's some Lego sets here, and I won't get into descriptions that people are actually literally closing their eyes and just listening to us. But there are some characters on those Lego sets that detail some of the characters that will be in the movie potentially. And then there's also Funko Pops. Funko Pops released a whole bunch of photos of their products that are being released, and they again were somewhat spoilerish.
Yeah. Again, avert your eyes if you want to remain spoiler free.
So, as you can see, how best to describe this without? Okay, so for those who are watching, I think it's they're both bordering Chris at this point. So on the left is a Spider-Man suit that looks like it may have had some fidget stuff done to it thanks to one strange doctor, and on the other side it looks like a Yeezy shoe, black and gold. So that I think it kind of pissed Marvel off, because then they themselves released their own images of from the Marvel Masterworks toy line. I think, John, you have those as well, right? So they released these kind of in response to say, yes, officially, here are some of the costumes. And so I'm, obviously they're more of the action figure poses and costumes.
J.K. Rowling's figure?
Nope, J.K. Simmons. There we are. But I did want to bring that up it's a J.K. Simmons. He has his own action figure, and I guess maybe that's what people live for. So J.K. Rowling is currently in England somewhere writing Fantastic Beasts and How to Find Them Part 7.
And getting jacked.
And she's currently getting jacked for her next starring role as Commissioner Gordon.
Starring as a father figure in every other movie released.
Yeah, but you know what? Listen, at the end of the day, it's not surprising that people are clamoring for news on No Way Home. We kind of thought a few weeks ago that we were going to be getting a trailer, and it does not appear that we're going to be getting a trailer for this movie for a number of weeks. We could be into August or September before they drop a trailer for No Way Home. So it's not surprising that this stuff just blew up the internet last week because people are just clamoring for this news. So there we go. And lastly, we've discussed the filming of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods quite a few times. We've seen the updated costume for Shazam and the family. So I've just got this thing I'm reading here. But in a recent Instagram post, director David Sandberg was asked if Shazam's hood was going to be included in the sequel. And he responded with no, saying, and I quote, "I pissed people off who hated the hoods in the first movie, so this time I'm pissing off the people who love the hoods. My goal is 100% customer dissatisfaction." And I got to tell you that based on that quote makes me even more excited for this movie. I love this guy. I think he's hilarious. His Instagram posts and social media presence, it kind of wanes during his filming, but when he does post, the shit's funny as all hell. I think this movie is going to rock based on that quote alone. But what are your thoughts on the hood? Do you have the photos to put up?
I have the costume photos, the hood photo. You didn't tell me to pull a hood photo.
Well, no, there is. You can see it. Yeah. So if you pull
let's pop the photo up, and I'll briefly talk. At one point during his redesign, Shazam was given a white hoodie that attached to his cape. If you played Injustice, the video game, and used Shazam in that game, he actually had that style of costume in that game, and it looked pretty pimp for a while. But I feel like they don't really use it as much now. But yeah, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was gonna say, well, that cost. So when Jeff Johns rebooted Shazam with Gary Frank during the New 52 Justice League run, they were doing the backup stories on some of those Justice League issues, and they're now a collected volume. I think you guys probably have it or could get it, the trade paperback. But yep. He created the hood as part of that. Now, Shazam was always known for the mid-thigh cape. He's always had a small cape. As you can see on the image on the right, though, the hood is obviously gone, and the cape is full length. It goes right down to probably about the tip of his boot. So I got to tell you that this, for me, like we talked about this costume before, about how much better it looks, more sleek. He's not as bulky. He doesn't look as swole. Like his hair looks better. But I love the longer cape look. I couldn't give two shits about the hood, to be very honest with you. So.
Yeah, let us know what you think, guys, of this costume difference. It's pretty apparent in the side-by-side.
How bad does that first costume look? Yeah. It looks like he's like an inflatable raft, man. He's so puffy.
Well, looking at it now, it looks like he looks like a giant Twizzler, right? Like it is.
Rob's hungry.
I am. Yeah, pass me the Twizzlers. It does look really bizarre, right? I mean, we talked about the chest emblem in the first one was all practical effects. They had battery packs throughout his suit, and it would only light up for something like 30 minutes at a time. Then they have to recharge it. The new one, they're using camera tricks to light it up, and I suspect it might be similar to how they did in Superman the movie. Going back to that is where they used the same type of material that movie theaters use, projections. When you shine light on it, it's reflective, and then they're also going to be using some CG. But yeah, I'm a big fan of. He just looks better. The hair looks better. It looks more natural. And I'm just a fan of no hood. So I'm cool. No hood, long cape. I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. Here's our boy. Me and my brother watched a lot of Chuck, but he kind of got a lot of flack for kind of like the fake muscles in that suit, and like you can obviously tell from that picture, it is not his fault. Those are some exaggerated muscles. So no matter, even if he was in like, I think people were making fun of like how in shape he was or whatever. Even if he was like in full out jacked, like that costume would have destroyed whatever he put the work in to do. Chris, I don't know if you noticed. What do you think of the costume?
The new one looks great.
Yeah.
You know, the hood is whatever. You know, hood or no hood. It's fine.
Well, you know what? And part of me, yep. So go ahead, Chris.
He's not like I guess a darker character who maybe like need to disguise himself or something with a hood or something like that. I'm not sure what the practical use of it is, but yeah, it's fine.
It makes me wonder if they took a lot of direction from The Rock and what the costume of Black Adam will look like.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Maybe they wanted them to line up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I got for the news, guys. That's it. It started off kind of sad, but it ended off with no hoods, long cape.
Long cape and Zachary Levi's junk. We didn't talk about that, but we'll save that for the next costume reveal.
He was hanging over Chris's head. That's why I kind of saw Chris miss a little bit. And I was like, "What's he doing?" And then I realized.
Yeah,
he was also playing. He was also playing Moneyball
at the same time. Yeah.
A different Moneyball on Cinemax. But thank you everyone for sticking with us. So that was the news. That was the new releases. And now we are going to start talking about Moneyball. I whipped up this quick graphic, which is what we're talking about, which is can a non-baseball fan enjoy Moneyball? And I've already been indicated by these two that they quite enjoyed this film. So this is my first time watching this movie. We're going to warm things up, folks. Everybody in the chat, start dropping your favorite sports movie. If it is Moneyball, definitely drop Moneyball. If it's something else, please drop one choice. Don't give us like a list of 5. And we're going to kind of like talk a little bit about them to kind of warm things up. So I'll kick it to Rob first. What is your favorite all-time sports movie? Is it Moneyball, Rob?
That's a good question, because I mean, then you throw Rocky in there, you throw Field of Dreams. I won't pick the Mighty Ducks. No, I'm trying to think what is my favorite sports movie. I would go probably with Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams? Okay, yeah, that actually popped up in the chat. I'm going to introduce some technology that I'm working with. So we've got a jam board here, and we're going to add Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I know. My spelling is awful. All right, so Field of Dreams. What else? Let me kick it to Chris. I know you're a big fan. Remember the Titans. Is Remember the Titans your favorite movie, or is it this Moneyball, Chris?
You know, it's close. I like Moneyball. If you were asking me to rank them, I would say Moneyball is better. But yeah, Remember the Titans. I remember seeing that in theaters and just being totally blown away by the performances and how inspiring it was. And yeah, Denzel Washington, can't go wrong. A young Ryan Gosling in there, like and your boy Donald Faison.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
what movie is that?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans, the Disney movie. Your typical.
It's a little corny at times, but like, it's like, oh yeah, we solved racism with football, but I thought it was a good movie.
Okay, so we'll start throwing some up there. I do shout out someone threw up the replacements there, so let's go through the chat for a little second here.
Oh, you know what? I saw Rudy. Somebody actually put Rudy. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what's on the board right now, and we'll start adding other people's suggestions. Field of Dreams, Rob. So you're thinking you'd like it better than Moneyball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Angels in the Outfield, kind of old school. I don't know, Chris. You have any input on some of these movies?
Moneyball's better.
Yeah, Moneyball's better.
Oh my
Hardball. Is Hardball the Keanu Reeves one?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
better.
yeah. It's fun, but it's not better. The Replacements, I love The Replacements, but I don't think it's better than this. It's a ton of fun. That's another Keanu movie, so I'm gonna actually put it near this Keanu movie here.
I actually forgot Major League. How can we forget the best baseball movies of all time?
Yeah, it's being added. Yeah, a whole bunch of people mentioned it in the chat. So Rudy, is Rudy better than Moneyball?
Ooh, I don't know.
I still vote Moneyball ahead.
I'd say Rudy probably is better. It's a better story, I think. It's a better heartfelt tug at the heartstring story. So I'd say Rudy Rudiger with a young Jon Favreau.
And then
I would add Happy Gilmore if you can't, John.
Happy Gilmore, get out of town.
Happy Gilmore's a great movie.
The Waterboy.
Yeah. Okay. So Major League, I think you guys are saying that's up there. There's a whole bunch of people that already shouted up Major League. Let me see if there's anything we missed. What did you just say? Sorry. Did you say Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore, man. No,
I wouldn't consider
Happy Gilmore love.
No,
we definitely have watched Happy Gilmore in the double digits. I think you own it on VHS, and we watched it like a million times back in the day.
Who hasn't gone to a driving range and tried the Happy Gilmore swing at least once or twice, right?
Yeah. Sarah shouts out League of Their Own. That was Rosie O'Donnell in that.
It was Rosie O'Donnell, Tom Hanks, Madonna, and Gina Davis. That is a very good movie. I forgot about that one. And John Lovitz, who had the best line in that movie, when he saw one of them that were milking the cow, and he's like, "Oh, that would kill me," or something to that effect. Yeah. So.
Someone mentioned basketball. I'm pretty sure that's the bottom of the list. I don't know. People are starting to joke around now. We're trying to have a serious discussion about sports movies here, folks. I don't know if I can add any more stuff, but I just want to kind of get the things rolling. Someone mentioned $1 Million Arm. Is that a movie? $1 Million Baby. Would you guys ever watch that movie again? I think it's a good movie, but I don't think I would ever watch that again.
No, I wouldn't. It's not. It's interesting you bring up. There's a lot of movies that. I think I mentioned this in our podcast yesterday, John. We talked about Joker. It's a movie it's a great movie. I don't think I'll ever want to watch it again. It's pretty heavy, and so I think you're right. That's a movie as well that I don't think I'm glad I saw it. There's no impetus for me to want to watch it again.
Yeah. All right. So Stu's showing up. Ben. Okay, now it's getting ridiculous. Ben, like back. We might as well add She's the Man.
Shaolin Soccer be a sports movie?
Shaolin Spot, yeah, maybe. See, now we're getting into a whole new thing. So yeah, no, I'm not going to keep adding this book. It's getting ridiculous. I just want to get like kind of us going with some sports movies, like the Rocky movie. I think we passed over during our '80s Action Fest because it was considered. Was it more considered drama?
It was a drama, sport drama, right? Yeah,
yeah,
it wasn't an action movie.
And then Top Gun. Did we deem Top Gun a sports movie or is it a drama? I don't remember.
Top Gun.
Top Gun, really?
It's not a sports movie. What? Because they played volleyball for 25 seconds?
They did. They did play
Days
volleyball.
of Thunder, maybe?
Days of Thunder. Yeah, I would feel like I would choose Days of Thunder. Sorry, some people mentioned Slapshot, so I think Slapshot would be a classic, definitely a classic sports movie. Would it be? I wanted to open up the discussion. Like, how good do you think Moneyball is as a sports movie? So, let me just kick it to Rob. How since we've thrown a whole bunch of sports movies, now they're fresh in your head. How good is Moneyball as just a general sports movie?
It's a hard question to answer, John, because it's not a movie about sports being played, but sports being thought of, right? Like it's more of the thing, like, Field of Dreams, one could say, is that really a sports movie? Because it's a metaphor, right? I mean, he has his calling to build this field because he has a tie. He's got obviously father issues and everything else. And it's a son learning to accept his father being gone and becoming a father himself. So it uses sports as a metaphor. I feel the same way of this movie, but it's not like Major League or Slapshot or Rocky or whatever, where sport is the central theme. This is more about the ideology of sports and how to be competitive. So I don't know. Is it a really good? It's a good movie.
Is it the most easy to? Would you watch it the most times though, just to see? Performances.
I think if you want to watch a baseball movie, listen, if you have 2 hours on your hands and it's a rainy Saturday afternoon, you're like, I kind of feel like watching a ball movie, you're probably more inclined to throw in Major League. it on a repeat viewing because it's very easy to watch. It's digestible and it's funny and get, that's what you want. But if you're in the mood for like a kind of a thinking person's movie that's a bit more drama and it's rewarding in its storytelling, you're going to throw in Moneyball. So I know I've kind of danced around the issue, kind of like, a dancing thing, but I think it's for sure, it's a sports movie, but not a sports movie. So.
Yeah. All right, Chris, what do you think? Like, is this?
Yeah,
is this...
it's exactly what Rob said. It's more about the behind the scenes of sports, like how teams are put together and how this particular team. It is an underdog story, which is something you get in a lot of sports movies. Dodgeball, that's another one. Underdog story about like these guys taking on and there's only one real sports scene in it, and that's like the 20th game of the streak that just like that final sequence where Hatteberg goes with bat, right? That's like really I know there's another one with Minnesota afterwards, but this one is like the kind of like the only sports scene in the whole thing, and everything is just the performances, like you said, just drawing you in with like the interest, and it is based on a true story. So these Cowboys basically just like throwing caution to the wind and just trying to break the system. It's just fun to root for them, and then they have like such endearing and charismatic performers that you're just like you're rooting for these guys.
We'll get into the performers. So the historical aspect of it kind of puts it in like almost a separate genre. What about like what's that Michael Jordan documentary movie called Last Dance?
Last Dance.
Yeah. Would you consider that better than this? I don't know.
Well, it's a whole different story.
You're more a basketball guy. Yeah. So that's too much more documentary side, right?
I would actually call this like a docudrama because they do slice in a lot of the the highlight footage and actual game footage and things like that. So it's kind of a cross between the two.
Okay, cool. So now we've kind of got like a baseline here. I just wanted to get that going. So Moneyball, let's talk about it. It cost them $50 million to make. It made $110.2 million. And I do have a Rotten Tomato graphic that you guys saw a little bit earlier. Very, very highly rated, 94% on the tachometer and 86% audience score. I'm not sure quite why the audience maybe didn't like it as much as the critics. Do you guys think it's maybe too many numbers, too nerdy?
Well, I think we have to talk about the movie in itself before we get into that, right?
Okay, so we'll start diving into the movie. So to warm up, warm up,
maybe too inside baseball.
maybe
the term exactly correct.
Yeah. So I'm gonna to continue the warm ups. When the batter's getting ready to go up to bat, they got
spring training. They call it
loosen up. So spring training. So now we're completed spring training. We're gonna loosen up and we're gonna get ready to start up at bat. So I'm gonna ask some non-sports guy questions. To my brother's going to feel the expertise, and I'm sure Rob's going to fill in, and everyone in the comments is probably going to light me up good. I'm actually surprised Scott's not in here. I was looking forward to Scott making fun of me, but maybe he'll join us later or get this on the rewatch. So let's establish John Ho's understanding of baseball. 1, 2, 3 strikes and you're out. I know that. I know they sell peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I know you got to root for the home team, because if they don't win, it's a shame.
Oh, God.
But whatever happened in that episode of Simpsons seems to be my understanding of baseball. So I'm going to throw out some questions, and my gimmick as I ask these questions, I'm going to pull a Brad Pitt, and I'm going to be eating something. If you guys watch the movie, every scene had Brad Pitt eating something. So I don't know if that makes it more interesting or not. So I'm going to throw out my first question, and I've got a coffee crisp here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Is that from Halloween?
It probably is. So I don't know how much of it I should eat, but I don't know if this makes it funnier or more interesting if I'm eating something. Everyone's making fun of Brad Pitt because that's his that's
his thing.
Trademark.
He did it in Oceans. I remember the Oceans movie too. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris,
what do they call it? Oral fixation when you're always eating.
Yeah, I don't know. But this is definitely from Halloween. It is definitely not good anymore. So Chris or Rob can jump in on this. How do the points work in baseball? Do you only get 1 point per run? Is there like a 7-point thing you can get for getting some type of touchdown or something? Is there anything that causes you to get more than 1 point at a time?
No.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Well, technically, yeah. What? Technically, every time we run across the home plate.
How many people are on base? And it's not points, John. They're called runs.
See, this is things I don't know. So every time some guy runs across the plate, he scores a point. There is no.
If it's before you get 3 outs, yes.
Okay. Does anyone kick a ball through a post or anything like that at the end? No, right?
No.
Is it illegal to use your foot to do anything to the ball? Could you kick it to another base or?
Yes, you're not allowed to use your foot.
Yeah.
Although
If
if
you're a
it
base
bounces
runner,
off your foot, then that's okay.
If you're a hitter, I think you'll be called out if you intentionally try to dive in front of the ball, and then if you're a runner and you kick the ball, you're out too. So
Yeah, so I feel like that was a semi-legit question.
I don't think so.
So far, no one's lighting me up yet. All right, so let's keep going. I've got some Swedish berries.
Can I just say something, John? I actually
really
think that you
setting this
might.
bit up nice.
I feel like you might actually be more well versed in Quidditch than in baseball, and that's a fake sport. Like I don't understand what's wrong with you.
If we have time, my brother has a brilliant rant on Quidditch, but maybe we'll see if we get to that. So, okay, so Swedish bear. I don't know if you can talk while eating Swedish bears, but we're gonna find out. At one point in the movie, there's these reporters doing interviews, and they're really digging into these guys. Is this what sports reporters do? They start asking them like, "How's your hand feel?" Like they really dig in there like that. I thought that was exaggerated.
No, that's actually how reporters.
They're actually inside the locker room. Dudes walking around, showering, whatever, and they're in there at that time interviewing athletes. Yeah. I don't know if you were that harsh, like the one girl, she was like,
really she was like really like ripping that guy.
If you were that like harsh, I don't think the athlete would even talk to you. So you have to like, it's like a give and take kind of thing. You can't just always be like that, I think. But yeah, they kind of were establishing that she was very cutthroat though. Like she's like, get on my shot, dude. Like things like that. So
yeah. She was really diving in because I did hear that one of the recent stories is that the tennis player, I forgot what her name was. This is sitting out of this the most recent tournament, Wimbledon. Yeah. Because she does not like having to do those interviews and stuff like that. And I think if this is the type of questions and kind of like pressure that they put on you, 100%, I wouldn't want to do that either. I'm already here with enough pressure to play this game, but whatever. Next question, I've got a rainbow. I don't know what this is. Sour tape or something like that.
You're gonna have the shits afterwards. I hope you know that.
This is my John, tribute
John,
to Gordon.
You're a dad. It's after 8 p.m. You shouldn't be eating this much sugar. Come on.
Yeah. Shout out to Gordon who did a version of this, but I feel like ate like 10 times more food.
Yeah.
How many games do they play in a baseball season? Because at one point they're on a 14-game losing streak,
right?
And then they go on a 20-game winning streak. And how often do they play?
You play baseball is basically an everyday sport. I think you get maybe one day off, maybe a week or something like that. But you play 162 games this season.
Yeah, is it 162? For some reason, I thought it was like 170 or 172, but 162. Yeah, that's sort of about right. That's for a normal season. That's not including playoffs and whatnot, John. So you could get into close to 200 games if you were to make it all the way to the World Series, I believe.
Yeah,
and this is more than like because I followed basketball before. It's more than other sports typically.
Yeah, basketball is about half that amount.
Yeah, and hockey is about
82. Yeah.
Is it 82? Yeah. So so baseball is the longest.
Yeah.
Now, I do not want people who enjoy cricket to come at me and tell me that it's a longer game. Cricket matches sometimes can go on for days on end. I get it. I hear you. We're just talking about the number of games, all right?
One thing about this movie is it takes place in a time when only 4 teams per league made the playoffs. So 8 of like the 32 teams. You can correct me if that's right. Make the playoffs, which is really low attrition, I would think. Most teams it's 16 of 32, like NBA and NHL. This was so the fact that they made the playoffs is with that team is just added more astonishment to it.
Okay. Anyways, I'm done with this gimmick because I'm getting sick of this food already, and I'm sure it's driving people nuts to listen to me chew. So I got a couple more quick questions. Those weird pitches where they were bouncing them off the floor, those are real pitches?
Well, they're not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be.
Well, it's a ball. If it touches the floor, it's a ball, so no one's going to touch. But the guy,
I
think you mean the guy who throws it underneath him. Those are called submariner.
Yeah, there were some weird pitches. There's one that looked like it bounced off the floor, and there's one where he like whipped it and it kind of like went in the air. I was like, I didn't know if those are real things. How big a deal is playing first base?
Extremely hard.
It's a pretty big. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Listen, John, as anybody knows in high school, getting to first base is an accomplishment. But what you want to do is you want to get into second, third, and maybe get home.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what is the strategic advantage of bunting the ball? Because they have a whole discussion on bunting, right?
Yeah, and not to do it in the movie. They say not to do it.
They say not to do it.
But
why would you do it?
Well, because if you want to advance your runners from different bases, so if you have somebody on first that you want and maybe somebody on second, you want to advance them ahead, you would try to bunt to advance your runner because you might be down in the score and you want to try to get as many runs in. Now, if Stu would likely jump into this chat, he'd be like, but bunting is not allowed in the National League. It's only allowed in the American League. And if, John, you're now looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Don't even worry about it.
You can bunt in the AL. It's just not. It's not done. No, it's fine. It's to advance the base runner to scoring position. So like a single will score them. Doubles are harder to hit than singles. If you didn't know that. You're
sacrificing yourself essentially. The bunter is sacrificing himself. So
they didn't want to do that. Anyways, okay. So we'll keep it going.
Kind of like how we're going to sacrifice you in this podcast.
Okay. One more question out of this, this opposite field, this thing that I'm trying out. So what exactly is Brad Pitt's job? He's the GM. He is supposed to acquire players. It looks like he's like kind of like semi-coaching as well and stuff like that. Is it like, what exactly is the GM supposed to do? Do you guys know?
Yes. Chris, do you want to field this one?
He's the general manager. He puts together the team, puts together the scouting staff, everything. He manages the entire team, basically. Puts it together and fires everybody.
He's like the editor-in-chief, John, of Marvel Comics. He's not the president of Marvel Comics. He's not Ike Perlmutter. But he's the editor-in-chief who oversees to make sure all of the operations are functioning as they're supposed to. The only person he reports to is the owner of the team. So does that?
I assume they kind of like played it up for the movie and let him do other things because it looked like he was kind of doing everything. But let's
there's one dynamic in the film, which is with him and the coach. He doesn't field the players. Like he can't control who plays and whatnot. That's the coach, right? So that's the dynamic between him and the coach, right? Like he can give the coach the ingredients, but he can't cook them, right? The coach cooks them, kind of in a way.
Okay.
Great. So now Chris is talking into Breaking Bad. So, John, let me ask you, as a person who's not a sports fan, from a movie perspective, did you enjoy this movie? Because I haven't watched this movie in a really long time, and I sat down and I watched it. And admittedly, I was like, when you said we're going to do Moneyball, I was like, holy shit, man. But I forgot how much fun this movie is, not from like a sis boom rah rah perspective, but it feels so full. Like when you watch this movie, it's like, it just felt worth my time. Do you know what I'm saying? And time, as we talked about, is precious. And this movie was worth my time to watch. And it is one that I understand why people rewatch this movie numerous times. So as a non-sports person coming into this movie, did it satisfy you?
Yeah. I quite like some of the baseball stuff. Like I was like that I wanted clarification for. Definitely flew over my head. Some of the older shots, especially when they cut to a young Brad Pitt that didn't quite look like Brad Pitt, I got confused. But whatever. Maybe I wasn't just paying attention hard enough. Yeah, I was like, "Who's this? Another player now? What's going on?" And then
you had the same name.
Yeah, but, whatever. I don't pay attention to everyone's name. Okay, so I'll dive in first then. Okay, so let's talk about the cast then. Jonah Hill. So you guys drop your thoughts on Jonah Hill. I've already seen it in the comments. People are going in on complimenting his performance here. So Jonah Hill, we first saw him in 40-Year-Old Virgin. He was the guy who came into the eBay store and wanted to buy something, but couldn't buy it because it's supposed to go on eBay. He follows that up with Knocked Up, Superbad, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So he's got a particular type of movie. And then all of a sudden Moneyball hits. How do you feel about Jonah Hill's performance in this movie? Let's kick it to Rob first.
Oh, yeah. Listen, phenomenal. I think sometimes it's very hard for somebody who does comedy well to be able to transition into drama. Robin Williams kind of did it a little bit. Good Will Hunting probably being his best attempt at that. Adam Sandler was okay in Uncut Gems, but I don't think you wouldn't buy him in a dramatic role. Jonah Hill, you bought in this role, just as you bought him in Wolf of Wall Street, which is another drama role that I think he was nominated for an Academy Award. Jonah Hill was the sleeper of this movie. He wasn't over the top. He was very understated in his performance. And he was the perfect yin to Brad Pitt's yang. Like they worked so well together that you could believe that he was a GM, assistant GM position dynamic. So phenomenal. Like I think Jonah Hill doesn't get the credit in his career that he really deserves, because he's funny as all hell, but man, he can deliver this type of material.
Chris, thoughts on Jonah Hill?
Yeah, actually, his character it's Peter Brand. He's not actually a real person. They kind of it's based on a guy named, I think it's Paul Di Posada. I don't know. He's the GM of Cleveland, I think Cleveland Browns now. But anyways, he's not really a real character because basically the guy who it was based on was looking at the character and was like, okay, this is not really me. They're kind of shifting him as more of a kind of a, I guess, kind of a statistic nerdy guy who never played baseball. So he kind of like, oh, can I remove my name from this? He didn't really like that representation of him. But Jonah Hill, like, yeah, this role was kind of his breakout, like Rob said, and he kind of plays that neurotic kind of shy, nerdy kind of guy, you know, who's just like itching to like make huge changes to baseball and just needs the opportunity. And I thought it was very nuanced performance from him. I thought and he was really funny too. Like it's just like all the lines he was spewing out was really funny. Like when he has to like try to pretend to fire. Or Brad Pitt makes him role play the fire. It's so funny. Yeah.
He's like, you don't want to take him out of school in the middle. You probably want to make them like fit it. And then Brad Pitt's like, what are you talking about? And then so absolutely great performance by Jonah. Is it his best performance? Do you guys think? Like Rob says, he follows this up with 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and then Wolf of Wall Street and a whole bunch of other movies. Is this your favorite performance of Jonah Hill's?
I think it's between this and Wolf of Wall Street. For me, I obviously favor Moneyball, so I would say this one. But Wolf is up there. It was really
what? I would also say, though, Superbad from 2007, I just rewatched this a couple weeks ago. And that shit's funny. Like, again, Jonah Hill has made some kind of questionable choices, you know, with the babysitter and whatnot. But this, he's really smart. He's really good. And I wish we saw more of him. He's taking a break from Hollywood right now, although I think he's doing some other film stuff, but he has taken a break. I would love to get him back on screen to watch him because he is just mesmerizing in his roles.
Yeah, I just saw him in Django Unchained. I think he plays.
No, it's just called Django.
Django,
it's
whatever.
Django. It's not Django.
Whatever. Okay, sorry. Whatever. Mispronunciations aside, let's talk a little bit about Brad Pitt now. The
who's this guy?
Of the movie.
This who? What's his name?
This guy named Brad Pitt.
Wasn't he in Cool World? Is that where I know him from?
Both of these actors were in a movie called Megamind, which is like an animated film, which was it's pretty funny. They both work together, so I don't know if that's why they got teamed up about it. But let's talk about Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt, you know, we all know his resume, but so right before Moneyball, I think his next biggest movie was Inglourious Bastards, which was preceded by Benjamin Button, the whole Ocean's 13, 11, 12 trilogy and stuff like that. How do you guys feel about Brad Pitt in this movie? Arguably, some people say one of his best performances, I think people say. I just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's why this movie came up. Rob, do you think it's one of his best performances? How do you feel about Brad Pitt? Is he underrated as an actor?
It's a good question because I often thought that maybe Brad Pitt was always a safe choice for roles, you know. But I think, and I don't know how to put this. I think that his looks, people focus on his looks as opposed to his acting ability, and I think that he is up there with Tom Hanks. I think Tom Hanks, we can all agree, is a great actor. I wouldn't say he's an ugly person, but I think his acting is what people think about when you think Tom Hanks. People don't think about Brad Pitt's acting when you think Brad Pitt. They just think, oh, Brad Pitt, right? Like it's his looks that he is the forefront of people's mind, and then his resume and his acting skills. This guy is, if you go through his entire resume of things that he's done, look at what he did in 12 Monkeys. Look what he did in 7. Look at what he did in even Meet Joe Black. Like as much as that movie is a whack movie, he is very versatile in his acting. Inglourious Bastards, Fury. I mean, you can go on World War Z. So I'm a big fan of Brad Pitt and his acting. I would follow him, whatever movie he's doing, I would go see because I think that he deserves to be in the same company as a Tom Hanks, as a Meryl Streep and whatnot. I wish people would think about him as an actor before they think about his looks.
Yeah, Chris, how do you feel about Brad Pitt?
Yeah, the chat kind of. I don't want to take credit for that, but the chat kind of said it. It's basically he's correctly rated. Like when he had his run, he's a perfectly serviceable actor in a movie. You want a big name, get him, good looking guy. But when he finally won his Oscar with Once Upon a Time, people weren't like clamoring. They weren't like when DiCaprio didn't win one. They were like, give this guy a bloody Oscar. He was kind of like, okay, yeah, he won one. good job, yeah, like blah blah blah. Like he has his Oscar now, and people weren't really clamoring for him to get it. I don't think I wasn't, but like I think he's properly rated. You know, he's an A-lister, like a top movies. Like you want an A-lister, he's the guy, right? So I don't think he's underrated, if anything.
Yeah, but he's underappreciated because that's what I think is that people definitely like when people think of Brad Pitt, they automatically think of his looks, which is, you know, I mean, listen, he's an attractive guy, but he's more than just that, and that's what my point was, right? Is that he's underrated in terms of his performance and ability for the general public. His peers know how amazing he is. They don't look at his face, but unfortunately, the rest of us, you know, idiots, when you think of a certain actor, the first thing you think about is their appearance, whether it's a male or female. You don't really think of their body of work off the top, unless you're dealing with like a Tom Hanks, somebody else like that, right? So that's all I was trying to say is I think he needs to be viewed more as for his body of work and how amazing he is as opposed to how he looks. And I'm going to keep doing this because we're going to watch Face Off one day.
Yeah. His IMDb is pretty impressive. He seems to be pretty smart about picking his projects. So he always seems to pick something really kind of like clever. Like it looks like there's thought put into it. So let's start talking, I guess. So Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, any of the other cast that you guys want to mention that you really liked in this?
Well, Chris Pratt. I mean, this is one of Chris Pratt's earlier roles, 2011. So he was still doing, I think, was he doing Parks and Rec around that time, or was just about to jump into Parks and Rec? So it's so funny to see a Chris Pratt who is way outside of the center of this movie, right? He's like a supporting cast member. It's kind of funny. The role that he plays is very, it's very on par with him as an actor in this movie. Like he's on the periphery, right? So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there were any other real standout actors.
I thought the daughter stood out a bit. Obviously great performance in the guitar store, and like just how she's like concerned about him, like worried about him, things like that. Obviously, Philip Seymour Hoffman was good too. He was kind of the villain of the movie, kind of in a way.
And you know what? Yeah,
the real life version of Art Howe viewed that probably not very well, but yeah.
But you know what? What I forgot that Philip Seymour Hoffman was in this, and man, again, another huge talent lost way too soon. Unfortunately, battled some demons and didn't win. But yeah, I completely forgot that he was in this movie. So yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the cast of this movie is all the principal actors. They all have baseball experience, which kind of made some of the sports sequences good. And the scouts in that room were all actually like old scouts too.
Some of them were, some of them were actors.
Yes. And a lot of them were scouts. Like the guy who tells off and fires, I think that guy was I think he's a baseball executive, and he's like, he was known to speak out against Moneyball. So the fact that they casted him was kind of cool. Yeah. And then, he has that great scene with Brad Pitt where he gets fired. Now I'm gonna fire you.
The scout guy, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. No, that was a good exchange. So that'll lead us into our favorite scenes. So everyone in the chat, start dropping whatever your favorite scenes are. We'll kind of go around, and then maybe we'll hit up what you guys start throwing at us. So Rob, what do you have a favorite scene or? Yeah,
I have a few, but the one that always sticks out to me after thinking about this movie is the first time that Pitt flies to. Is it Cleveland? And he meets with the management team there, and he wants to make the trade. And Jonah Hill's in the room, and he's whispering to something, and Pitt comes out, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm sorry." And he goes, "Who are you?" And he starts saying, he goes, No, I don't know. I don't care about your name. Who are you? What? Yeah. And it was just that whole exchange.
That was a little bit of a Jerry Maguire thing too. He's like looking over the cubicle.
Yeah, he's walking around, and he's like looking, and then they go down.
Follow each other,
and then they go down to the parking garage, and they're kind of like looking around, right? It was kind of like
drug deal or something.
Well, it's like all the president's men, right? Like they're all, call me Rose, but whatever. Like they're all in the back in the underground talking, and he's explaining, like, listen, man, I have a degree in economics from Yale, but I don't look at this. People look at baseball as being this, and instead you should be looking at it as the number of hits to equal runs. And that was so anyways, that whole entire introduction of Jonah Hill's character to Brad Pitt and seeing how organically they came together and kind of started syncing with each other, that's probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Yeah. All right, Chris Ho, your favorite scene?
Fun fact, actually, the guy that plays the GM, not the guy that plays the GM of the Cleveland Indians, is actually I think the GM of the president of the Blue Jays now, Mark Shapiro, right?
Oh, that was the actor. Oh, you mean of Oak? No, what? No, that's an actor. The guy who was in that movie.
I mean like the guy he's
he
actually
played. Okay.
Yeah. I remember that guy as Terry Crowley in The Shield. He's the traitor. He gets shot
he
in
was
the face.
one and
Episode
done.
1.
Yeah. I have a lot of scenes. I guess you guys always
throw one out. We'll go through the chat.
You guys always get on me for picking more than one, so I'll just pick one this time. My absolute favorite scene is trade deadline day when Brad and Jonah are in the office together and they work that trade for Rincon. And I play a lot of fantasy sports and like all this stuff, and you always want to be like that guy, like the negotiator, like working all the angles and things like that. And it was really cool dynamic to see that, like like what the guy, he makes a trade with the guy, and then he immediately hangs up on him, and Jonah Hill's I think he had something else to say, and it's just good life advice. When you get the answer you want, hang up.
I look forward to trying that one day. It's like, okay, answer, click, and then worry about the details later. Yeah, and he starts playing them off each other, and in the chat, it's actually a lot of people's favorite scene, that trade one. It's kind of funny. I feel like Brad Pitt's he's eating popcorn out of a coffee filter in that scene, which I thought was pretty funny.
It shows the ghetto-ness of the Oakland A's organization. He's got to get popcorn in a coffee filter. Like, you can't get this guy a bowl or like a bag or something like that. No, it's coffee filter.
Yeah. And that interacting with Jonah Hill is just great. So let's dive into the chat here and see if there's any scenes we kind of missed. So it says Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt negotiating for the players. There was another scene earlier where Brad Pitt gets rid of one of the players because the coach keeps playing him. That was kind of a cool scene as well too, because Jonah Hill's kind of like, no, don't do it, do it, or something like that, and he's like, oh, you kind of like, oh, you did it.
Like one thing is like the balls on these guys, like the cojones to do what they did, like literally, because that's what happened. They traded that guy, and he's a great first baseman, and they wanted the team to be functioning the way they did. They like, and Jonah Hill says it, like, these are moves that are hard to explain. Like, if they didn't win those 20 games, for sure he would have been fired. For sure he's out of the job. Like, he could have just kept the team the way it was, pedal along. He always has the excuse of, I don't have the right payroll, but he did these moves and he did this drastic change, and it was the cojones to do it, man. It was crazy.
Yeah. Like what a risk. I not understanding all the mechanics, I understand that at that point they were taking a risk to kind of follow this thing. Tara isn't here, mentions the Brad Pitt. I guess he had a jinx or something that he thought was happening every time he kind of drives back, or he doesn't stay for the games and stuff like that.
Never watched the games.
He never watches the games because it's a lot of sports guys are superstitious about a lot of things, whether it's hockey or baseball or football. There's a lot of weird superstitions that people have, so it plays into that whole mentality of Yeah.
Lewis shouts out Chris Pratt hitting that home run in the last second. Shout outs to Jason Gambini dancing in the locker room.
He's not Jason Gambini. Yeah. It's Giambi. Gambini is Lockport Gambini and Ford out of Buffalo, New York. And if you want to get a car, you go to Lockport Gambino and Ford.
Yeah. Oh man, those commercials are on all the time. Gordon threw up the quote. It's not about the money; it's about what the money represents. Yeah, I don't remember if is that the quote near the end where Jonah Hill shows Brad Pitt the guy hit the home run, but he doesn't think I don't know if that was part of that speech or part of one of the other speeches. But yeah,
I think it was Brad Pitt explaining why he doesn't care about the getting to the playoffs and all that stuff. I guess maybe I like his thought of I don't like losing. I don't care about winning, but I don't like losing, which is basically just saying you want to win, right? Sarah shouts out this great scene where they go to talk to the Chris Pratt character, and then he's like, they're like, we want you to play first base, and this guy's gone, and then he's like, what about the fans? And then the guy's like, I guess we could teach one of the fans. And then Brad Pitt kind of just stops and goes, good one. And then he kind of keeps talking. That sequence always makes you laugh, especially when he's like, I've never played first base before. First base is easy, isn't it? And he talks to the first base coach. It's incredibly hard. Deadpan, dude, this is going to be tough.
That's a great scene.
Sequence. Makes me laugh every time.
Yeah. And as he leaves that scene, I think Brad Pitt grabs a cookie from the I was like, what is he eating? I had to rewind it for a second. It was like a random plate of cookies. Hold on, let me see. Let's see. So Gordon mentions that scene where the guy hits the home run. I thought that was is that actual footage? That's actual footage, I assume.
Yeah, they use the actual game
first baseman.
Can I guess your favorite scene, John? I thought Is it the guitar store?
I was gonna shout that out because I feel like no one else is gonna be a dad in here and be a softie and pick
dad,
that scene. Yeah, but yeah, she sings a song and Brad Pitt just kind of like he's like this
away,
and then he's like, no, you gotta sing it, you gotta actually sing the words, and then she sings the words, and this is why I think Brad Pitt is underrated. The face that he makes when he kind of hears her sing.
Yeah.
I almost want to cry. He's just kind of he's kind of like that, and then at the end he just kind of does this because he's about to cry, and then he plays the song later in his truck or whatever. Like I thought that was great. Let's see.
I just want to, while you're looking at the comments, John, the one thing I wanted to say is that earlier in tonight's show you had your funky little board and people were throwing out sports movies and whatnot, and people could say, remember the Titans or probably not the program or the Cutting Edge or whatever. Toe pick.
Oh, Cutting Edge.
there are a lot of sports movies of different genres. There's very few. Like I feel that baseball is the one genre of sports that have the most dramatic movies. You can go to this movie, you go to Field of Dreams, you can go to The Natural with Robert Redford, which I watched a shit ton as a kid. For some reason, I just love that movie. I haven't seen it in about 20-something years. There's just something about baseball, the sweet science, of baseball that translates really well to heartfelt stories that I don't think you get with other sports movies the same way. Not to say that you can't have a good dramatic hockey movie. I know some people say The Miracle. I think it's just called Miracle or whatever. Or, there's some decent soccer movies out there. But I think there's something about telling a metaphor through baseball as a sport. It's very special, I think, to a lot of people. So,
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's well put, Rob. You're so smart. Look at this guy. This Rob guy. He's
got the hair. He's got the brain.
Yeah,
what else?
You guys should definitely post in the chat if you think Rob should get frosted tips.
Actually,
on his hair.
What? You almost
start a boy band.
You could actually think that these are frosted tips, but you know what? It's gray. That's what the tips are. It's gray. It's not Rob. Frosted tips.
Okay. Any other scenes? I think
so many. Yeah, the chat mentioned the whole movie is just amazing. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other scenes that you wanted to mention? Yeah, I totally didn't. I was
totally spaced out.
I checked out.
Asshole. No, you know what? I this is a movie, and I think we're going to talk about it. Based on this book. On paper, no pun intended, it's very difficult. If you read the book, you're like, how is this going to translate into film? Because they do talk a lot about statistics in the book, and we'll probably mention that in a little bit. But man, this movie was so digestible. And Chris and I, we were talking about this before we went on the air. This is a movie that, and I think you're a testament, John. You're a guy who obviously doesn't like sports, know anything about sports. I don't know what the hell happened to you, but yeah, and yet this movie resonated with you. And I think
martial arts a sport.
Yeah, of course. I think I wouldn't want to get into an argument with somebody who knew martial arts and take the opposite position.
That is not a sport, dude. Tell that to Joe Rogan's face, and you'll end up with a kick to the side of the head.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, Rob. You dived into the book. So this is kind of an adaptation of a book. I'm sure some people maybe in the chat have read the book or have not read the book. What would you prefer? Would you tell people to read the book first and then watch the movie, or just skip straight to the movie?
I would 100% say the movie first. Like if you're, I would say watch the movie, and if you really like the movie, because that's what I did. I watched the movie and I loved it, so I read the book after. I think I was on vacation somewhere in Dominican. I read the whole book when I was there. It was great on the beach.
You nerd.
I did it the opposite way. I read the book first and then I watched the movie.
Yeah.
It's a good book. But that being said, they really dive into statistics and the ideology behind the mathematical equations. And I'm not a math guy, right? Like I never did well in math. And so as much as I enjoyed the book and the story it was telling, when it gets into the weeds, and it does really get into the weeds of the number crunching, I started to like go, like it gets to be a little bit hard. So I would say that if this movie overall interests you, the story behind it is good to read, but you have to be prepared that there's a lot of statistics and number crunching and the explanation behind that. And if that doesn't sound like your thing, then just stick with the movie.
Yeah. One thing the book does too, like I found really good, was they go into a lot more of the baseball players themselves. Like Hatterberg gets his own like chapter, and then I think it's Bradford, the guy who submarine pitches and things like that. So they get a little more details into them. And the trade sequence, I was riveted reading that in the book as well as watching it. That trade sequence, I think it was great in more detail, obviously, than that. So
a more hardcore question for you guys, Sarah's got for obviously you guys. I have no clue what's going on anymore. But why, using sabermetrics, which is I guess the main theme of the movie, why would Jonah Hill have Pitt, aka Billy Bean, in the 9th round besides the OBP? Yeah, why so low? Do you guys have an answer for that? I don't know if anyone in the chat can answer that.
What I would say is it's kind of like the whole theme of the movie, right? Like it was basically like Brad Pitt they kept calling him a 5-tool player. So like these are the old scouting system would be like, oh, he looks good. He has a great swing. The ball flies off his bat certain ways, like the statistics don't back that up, but he has like the classic features that you want in the previous way of scouting, which was like, runs, was it RBIs of the batting average, home runs or whatever like that. And those things don't translate. It's kind of a crapshoot. I wouldn't say sabermetrics would rule him out entirely, but like clearly you could tell like he didn't have the gumption to be like a major league player. But that can be mental too and things like that. It's hard to predict those things. Anyway,
there's something else that happened in this movie, and it was very subtle. I'm not sure if you picked up on this, but during the beginning when they're sitting in the room talking, going through after the A's lost that season, they're talking about the scouts are going about who they should pick. They used a phrase, and it was just like it doesn't, it just said, oh, he has all the looks. He has all the looks of what you want. He could be great out front person for the club, and they kind of used the same idea when they were talking about Billy Bean back in the day. Like he has the looks, and it's funny because. To kind of piggyback on what Chris is saying, they were looking at those type of statistics, but they were also looking for a well-coiffed ball player, somebody who could be the look of a player. We can market this guy. It wasn't about necessarily the skill per se. It was also about how they looked. Right? Doesn't have
an ugly girlfriend or something. I think that's one of their comments.
One, right?
Runs funny or waddles or
he's got an ugly girlfriend. So what? Well, it's a bad judge of character. Obviously, he's insecure. He doesn't have confidence.
Yeah.
So they really were focusing on very much like how we talk about Brad Pitt and how people view him in acting. They're looking at a lot of this and then the metrics next to it, and so. It was a very subtle. They dropped it a few times, and then to see that Billy was like, "No, we're talking about the player and their statistics. That's the story that needs to be told, not how they appear on a magazine cover, right?"
Yeah. So that kind of leads into my just final nerd question. Please indulge me. Some people have like old school fans versus new school fans, and I think Pat is the one that pointed this out to me. This whole advanced metrics thing. What is it generally thought that this is ruining this baseball sport or something like that? I don't know if you guys have reasons why it would be like pitting the two camps against each other type thing.
Probably a generational thing. I would think there's arguments like that in all sports, right? Like it's just like the I think Rob kind of mentioned it. The AL has the DH, which is basically the pitcher doesn't have to hit. Some people hate that, things like that. Like, pitchers not going 9 innings. I think the big debate now is like pitchers only go like 3 to 4 innings, and then you go into the bullpen and things like that. It's like back in their day, the pitchers would go 9 innings, no issue, 100 plus pitch count, things like that. Like, it's just a generational thing. The games have changed, and the ways of measuring these types of things and injuries have caused these types of changes.
I agree with Chris. I think it's also a fact that society, and depending on what type of an area of work you are in, for those who are listening or watching, it switched. It became all about analytics. And the story can't always be about analytics. When the pendulum swings too far the other way and you're judging people based on the analytics and the data, you're missing another important function, and that is the human element. And sometimes having heart and determination is just as important as the analytics, right? You know, maybe you don't have you're not batting 500. Maybe you bat, 350 or 4. But if you have heart and you can be a leader, then that translates to something different that can't be computed in analytics. So I think that might be the discrepancy between the two lines of thinking, is that you can't just take statistics always. You have to also look at the person, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing about the movie in itself is a lot of the critics are panicked just for the fact that they do this to sabermetrics and things like that, and they are a successful team in the regular season, but they have yet to win a world championship since they adopted this, right? So it's like, how did they really change baseball? Like the movie sensationalized and things like that, and they haven't had a lot of real life success outside of the regular season and things like that. So it's up for debate, right? The last team to win the World Series, I think, was the Dodgers, and they had like astronomical payroll. So it's not all changed.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And then the final question, I guess, before we wrap this up, so you guys can play a cleanup hitter and get this rolling. Can you Moneyball any other movie? Is there like a similar theme in some other sport or something? Like, I don't know, choreographed dancing, like I always like to mention, or whatever. Can you Moneyball anything else? Can you Moneyball a basketball movie, Chris? Is there anything that exists like that?
Yeah, you could. Like, there's things in basketball too that are changing, right? Like the whole, I guess the most basic one I can think of is 3-point thing, right? They figured out pretty basic. 3 points is worth 50% more than 2 points, right? So people are taking more 3-pointers now, and if they can shoot a certain percentage, they can score a ton of points and not have to worry about it. Things like that. So yeah, you could definitely do it with probably anything, I guess, sport with where they keep those kind of advanced stats.
Yeah, but I guess this was the groundbreaker of that kind of this idea, right? Using math, right, Rob?
Yeah, it was. But if you think about it, ice dancing, competitive ice dancing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is a sport that is all based on a point system that's allocated based on moves and functionality and stuff like that. And it's very corrupt. So I wouldn't say it's a moneyballing type of an idea. However, that's probably as close to what Moneyball, the idea of Moneyball, has always been, is about the point-based system being judged on the moves and fluidity of ice dancing. So Olympic wise, right? So I would go with
Yeah. All right. So Sue shouts out this MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. Do you have to bring a calculator to that, or your whole laptop?
All done up here, baby.
Like I don't know. I was gonna throw up a chart and get you guys to kind of break it down for me, but I didn't.
Thank God you did. Thankfully.
Figure that out.
So, would you watch this again, John?
Yeah, I actually watched it twice in anticipation for this. I really enjoy those the performances, especially Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. I think someone mentioned in the chat there was like that one little thing. Jonah Hill's like, oh, I did 47, actually 51. I don't know why I lied right there. Like, I don't know if that was improv or if there was a point to that little joke.
It's probably a Sorkin, Aaron Sorkin did a rewrite.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much to rewrite, I guess a punch up is what they call it, right? Like he did it, but he was adamant that this was already great. I think that Sorkin uses that type of stuff before. Anyways.
Yeah. So just the performances alone, like a lot of the baseball stuff, especially when they start showing old game tape and stuff like that, I was like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know. And then when they start talking really fast, I'm like, okay, I can't follow this. But that might be just me in general not being able to follow things that go fast.
Yeah. It's always fun to see Brad Pitt flip out too, and when they kept starting Pena, he flipped over his desk and he threw the TV.
I think he throws a chair of the door off the office door at one point and things like that. I'm surprised. Yeah, he didn't smash something.
When that guy was dancing, he smashed the thing, the stereo and things like that. Yeah.
He's like, what's that sound? That's what losing sounds like or something. That was a great speech.
Imagine your boss comes in and talks to you because he's the boss. Everybody there, right? Yeah. Imagine your boss comes in and does that to you. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, but they were goofing around. They had the music playing and they just lost. Like, come on, guys.
Now, if I can make a recommendation, John, and it's not really tied to Moneyball, but it is a sports, it's a television show. Stu and I are big fans of it, but it's Ted Lasso. It's on Apple Plus.
Yep.
If you don't have, you try to find a way to get it. I think you can get a week or a 30-day free trial on Apple Plus network.
If you buy an Apple piece device or something like that, you get 30 days free. I was going to recommend that. Yeah. 100%.
But Ted Lasso season 2 comes out later this month. But I have to say that this is a movie, a TV show. It's 10 episodes. It's soccer, but it's about an American college football coach who comes over, who's drafted to coach a Premier League soccer team in the UK. And when you hear the premise, you're like, well, that doesn't sound, but it's full of heart. And it's probably one of the most feel-good television shows I've ever seen that's set in the world of soccer, which is a pretty decent sport. So I would recommend, if you were a fan of again, this is a movie, Moneyball is a movie that you watch it and you feel like you're so rewarded for your time that you've invested in watching it. You're going to have that tenfold over watching Ted Lasso. So I would definitely suggest, if people haven't seen it, get a way to watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus.
If you thought like Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights was endiring, this is like endearing times like 100%.
Okay, I was just gonna say, if there was anything you recommended, Chris, and I did want to shout out Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
200%. Yeah. See, my math is like off. I don't have sabermetrics in my head, but it's times like 1,000. Yeah, it's really good. Recommendation, I would say similar to Moneyball, nowhere near as good as Moneyball, but kind of in the same vein as Draft Day with Kevin Costner. Like, if you can put out your mind, if you're a football fan or something, you can put out your mind like the ridiculousness of what actually happens in the movie. It's kind of fun to watch, and you get to see kind of like the behind the scenes of what happens in the NFL draft. It's kind of, it has the same kind of feel as that trade sequence in Moneyball, but a little more ridiculous if you actually know about football.
Not Any Given Sunday. I don't remember if that movie was actually good or not. I know it has Jamie Foxx in it. I know it has LL Cool J in it. And a bunch of other stars.
Al Pacino, John.
Yeah. That guy.
LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx actually fought on the set of that, I think, or behind the scenes.
They had tension. But so see, Chris getting props already. So thank you very much, everybody. Rob, do we have anything else we want to cover here? I think that probably wraps up our Moneyball discussion.
Yeah, I think it was, you know what, definitely when you suggested it last week, I was like, this is way outside of our wheelhouse of things that we do on this show. But you know what, sometimes mixing it up is a reward unto itself. And I think it was a great suggestion, John. I'm really glad that you suggested it because it gave me an opportunity to go back and see this movie, which I haven't seen in years. So thank you for that. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. The fact that you watched it twice, which is really funny because I'm not going to lie, I've watched a lot of movies this past week. I was going to rewatch this again. That's how much I enjoyed it. So thanks for that. Thanks to all those who've been chatting with us tonight in your comments.
Yes, thank you for putting up with my nonsense. I should have cut to the chase faster. I abandoned my gag earlier.
But it was great. If you haven't watched the Heroes World podcast, we have 2 episodes up there. We did a review of Loki episode 4 that you can watch, as well as the Tomorrow War starring Chris Pratt, who was obviously in Moneyball. There is a non-spoiler review, about an 8 or 9 minute clip of each of those on the YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, you just kind of want to hear a non-spoiler review to say, should I watch it? Check that out, or you can go full on. You can go full on spoiler-filled review, and you can hear Andre give his thoughts and opinions on the Tomorrow War. Should it be the Tomorrow War or the Never War? And then next week, somebody just asked what's going on, Lewis. Next week, we are doing Superman, and we kicked it off the top. I know we've discussed the Richard Donner Superman movie a few times, but we're going to do a rewatch. It's on Crave right now. Obviously, with his passing, we're going to rewatch it, and we're going to talk about Superman, the movie, next week.
Yeah. All right. So rest in peace, Sir Richard Donner. I don't know if he was knighted or not, but I guess
no, he wasn't. He's American.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, so we're talking about Brad Pitt about a lot this podcast. Did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, does that hold up? I haven't watched that recently. Has anyone rewatched that recently?
I haven't rewatched it. No,
I remember it being good when I first saw it. So
I own it on DVD. I think I have fired it up a couple times. Upon hearing people talk about, like, I've listened to a lot of Brad Pitt stuff recently. They say there's a lot, you can see a lot of the tension, I guess, that was going on during the filming of this movie. So I would be interested to kind of rewatch it. I'm definitely on a Brad Pitt kick. So
you mean the sexual tension?
I think chemistry.
Yeah.
Because that's when they hooked up, right? Was this movie, right? So I'm trying to remember the director of that, because I think he directed one of the Bourne movies or something like that. At any rate, yeah, it's Yeah, it's a good call, Chris. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. All right. So
and then one also thing I heard about this movie is it was originally supposed to be directed. This is Moneyball. Sorry, it was originally supposed to be directed by Steven Soderbergh. So I wonder how that would have been if it actually did.
Release the Soderbergh cut. Is that what you're asking?
Well, he left the project before they started filming, but yeah, and he had somebody else cast as the Jonah Hill character. If you know who he is, Dimitri Martin, the comedian, was supposed to.
Yeah. Oh, really? That would not have worked out well.
So yeah, they basically Soderbergh left, and then there's a story that basically Soderbergh left, and then Dimitri got a phone call. It's like, yeah, you're out.
Done.
Poor guy.
Out. All right.
For the best.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us and hanging out with us and getting in on the comments. It's been a lot of fun. And definitely I will leave the sports movies. Maybe I'll let Chris or Stu or someone else host. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this. And we will be doing the Superman, the original Superman 1, and Rob's going to take us on a fantastic ride because he is such a hardcore nerd for this movie. I believe he has pioneered the sabermetrics for Superman, the Donner cut. So we're going to see a lot of charts, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of percentages, and we're going to know how long each actor is on the screen and how the balance works out to make what he believes is a masterpiece.
Civilian save percentage, right?
No, there's none of that. We're just talking good old fashioned fun comic book movie, you dumbass. His cape is 15% longer in this scene than it was in the other one. My God.
It might make sense though. Maybe the amount of time. Anyways, we'll stop. Anything. Thank you very much, guys.
You guys should rank the Superman movies. Unless you're going to do all of them.
No, we're not. We're not. We're just going to do the one.
No, yeah.
Stop
so
it.
The homework is we're rewatching 1978 Superman and Rob's. But you don't have to rewatch it. Rob's going to do a good job of recapping that entire movie. So you're just going to be able to relive it through Rob's eyes, through Silvertip's eyes himself, as you discover his superhero origin. So I can keep going on with these jokes on Rob's in his hair, but I'm actually quite jealous. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Thank you everybody in the chat. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys.
Enjoy the show.